been an active researcher for over 20 years, and I can see the landscape changing over time, where now it's much more important to test our new innovative therapies and approaches in humans and in human tissue. And both the pharmaceutical industry and academia is in need of specimens from patients from all walks of life, young and old, male and female, with disease and without disease, so that we can test our new approaches.
The work what NDRI is doing is critically important for discoveries and finding new treatment for rare and common lung diseases.
The role of NDRI, for example, in the GTEx project that helped to get messenger RNA and understand protein that are made in specific tissues was really a turning point, I think, in the whole field.
We understand that biospecimens may come from many different sources. In cases where individuals may have had an opportunity to consider how their samples or biospecimens may be used in research, and other cases where the samples may have been collected quite a long time ago, and others now may have that important decision to make, like family members or loved ones. And in all of those cases, I think it's important that the information be clear about how the samples or biospecimens will be used, the research objectives, the potential risks be clear to whomever is charged with making that decision.
NDRI's mission is service to science. Our passion is service to science. We are the nation's leading source of human tissues, organs, and cells for scientific research and development worldwide. And we're privileged to contribute to the research efforts of scientists in every imaginable life science discipline.
This is a story of collaboration and so many people sharing a dream that one day people with cystic fibrosis would not only be able to live long, full, productive lives, but eventually they would be able to say, I used to have cystic fibrosis.
Sort of fortuitous that we did this today. Last night, Vertex announced results from a phase 2 clinical trial of a new triple combination medicine that we believe will allow us to treat more than 90% of all patients with cystic fibrosis with transformative effects to essentially cure or prevent this disease. The secret sauce in our entire program was having human cells from patients with cystic fibrosis to develop the drugs on. Never would have happened without it. And in fact, the companies that didn't use those cells didn't succeed. It was only the use of those cells at Vertex that allowed that to happen, and that wouldn't have happened without NDRI.
It's a great privilege for me to have the opportunity to present an award named in my honor from an organization I admire to an esteemed physician, scientist, and public servant, Dr. Francis Collins, the Distinguished Director of the National Institutes of Health, the preeminent scientific research institution on this planet.
Before I became NIH director, and Elias Zerhouni was the director, Elias started something which was called the Roadmap, and then became the Common Fund. It was an opportunity to identify projects that no single institute at NIH could undertake, but which, if successful, would benefit across every discipline, every organ system, every disease. And it seemed to me that the way to really move that forward would be to understand how in human tissues genes turn on or off and how that relates to the genotypes of those individuals. That seemed like a very bold task indeed, because we would need to have hundreds of individuals basically contributed because their families felt that this was an appropriate way to honor them, and many tissues from each of those individuals, and you heard some 80,000 tissues that would need to be sampled, where you would need to look at a very sensitive question. What is the level of RNA that's being expressed from all of those human genes? I got to say, when I presented this to Elias Zerhouni, he said, that's a lovely idea, but it's impossible. It will never happen. There's no way that tissue acquisition could rise to that level of complexity and difficulty. And I said, well, give it a try. And I have a feeling there are organizations out there, and I was thinking about NDRI, that might just have the skills to do this. And I knew that because over the course of many years prior to that, I had worked with NDRI. I knew about the Human Tissues and Organs for Research Resources grant, which continues to this day, and how successful that had been. And I was pretty confident that this organization could come through. And boy, did they ever.
So when I learned about what our OSPU, or Obstetrical Specimen Procurement Unit, does on behalf of NDRI, I was thrilled. It's amazing to note that this small team, led by Arun Jayabalan, who's one of our MFM physicians, is able to secure specimens for not only NDRI, but also for the cutting-edge research that's taking place at McGee Women's Research on a daily basis.
NDRI, you provide an unbelievable resource to all researchers using human tissue. I'm very happy to be a part of your team. And in sitting here listening tonight, I really do come to realize that it is truly a team. And I really humbly accept this award for everyone at NDRI.
NDRI serves as a critical resource to biomedical researchers across the world, and I want to thank the entire board and staff of NDRI for this honor. I will continue to advocate for strong, sustained investment by the federal government, and I'll do all I can to ensure that the NIH and all of our federal health research agencies have the resources commensurate with the scientific opportunity.
Sadly, there are many, many stories yet to be fulfilled in terms of dreams and hopes of the elimination of disease and suffering. We have so much more work to do across the full disease spectrum. And we at NDRI look forward to contributing in every meaningful way we can to advance research and eliminate disease, disability, and suffering.